All right, 1.21 gigawatts. Let's go. We're at the 1 o'clock hour. We have a new sponsor for the virtual roadshow. This is our initial year. I guess we're up to a year now with LG, helping you guys with all the LG solutions, residential and commercial. We have Greg Lee, who has done pretty much all of our trainings, live trainings, webinars. He's the best. So I'm not going to give him your cell phone number because you'll probably blow him. But you could do that if you want. But I mean, he's fantastic with helping out with his technical questions. He knows the product inside and out. So for this session, we're going to go over specifically the new OLEDs and QNED displays. We're going to get into the weeds, talk about the product features, the upgrades versus previous generation. 50 points for being here, so thank you. We'll have this recorded and on our Roadshow site on the right-hand side to earn another 20 points. If you haven't claimed your Grubhub gift card, please do that. And I'm going to have some poll questions that I'm going to activate here soon. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A section. And Sean's on here as well. He knows a lot about LG, so he could hopefully answer those as well. Oh, looks like Mike Bushy's here too. Great. So we have a lot of people that are going to help answer your questions if you have some. So Greg, thank you so much for being here, buddy.
Always good to be here and seeing you guys. So you ready for this to kick this thing off?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. Let me find the proper window and start sharing. And you guys can start carrying, right?
Yeah. Sharing is caring. Very good.
Perfect. Make sure I can see it as well. All right. So greetings, everybody. It is autumn. It is fall time, but that just means we have plenty of opportunity to sell customers amazing products, and LG has got you covered. What we're going to cover today, as Mark outlined, we're going to focus on our QNED and our OLED series. If you have any questions after the fact, you are more than welcome to reach out to me at email, greg.lee@lge.com. And I'll put it up a couple other times. My cell phone number, which, yes, I'm willing to share. That's for work and for personal. And I'll also give you some other contact info from team members that you can utilize as well. So let's get this thing on the road. So essentially what I'm going to run through in today's call, and we do have another one scheduled on Friday, and we'll cover some different information, dig a little bit deeper, get under the hood with some of the stuff, maybe things that we're curious about but never got the info on. But today we're going to talk about why LG, is like from a company standpoint. We'll go through the product and why LG from a product standpoint. I think you'll find there's a lot of reasons to consider LG as one of your main, if not top, TV providers. We're going to cover some things that you may not know about our products that might help you to provide solutions. A lot of times sales is about what product can do this for my customer or give them a different or a better experience. So we'll talk about some of the things that are sort of hidden but might be beneficial in that regard. We'll hit OLED TVs, QNED TVs. We'll have some Q&A along the way, not just Mark's or Doc Brown, sorry. And by the end of today, with your customers, you will be able to explain, really what our key features and steps from our premium TVs. We're going to start about midline and work our way up. You'll be able to also tell them what new benefits LG OLED and QNEDs will offer them, what's beneficial to them, and they'll get better entertainment and better experiences. And also explain why LG should be their first choice to consider. A lot of things to cover there. I got a question. We got that Q&A box open, right? If you pop the Q&A box, who can tell me how long has LG been actually selling OLED TVs, big screen, 55-inch larger OLED TVs? See if anybody's paying attention. They can do that in the Q&A, right, Mark?
Yes, absolutely. 11 years. Yeah, 11 years. Michelle answered 11 years.
Yeah, exactly. So LG's been the number one OLED selling TV for 11 years. Wow. Which is great, and we continue. And we have the widest array of model series, model sizes. The industry is definitely migrating towards OLED. If you look at LG's monitor lineup, We have all sorts of monitor solutions now that employ OLED all the way up to a monitor that can do 480 hertz refresh and has 4K resolution. Craziness. Now, another place for LG information, resources, and more is, if you haven't gone there yet, reachlg.com. This site has had a recent overhaul. It has all sorts of documentation, one-pagers, category information guides, how-tos, troubleshooting, and points for prizes, which we had to end for a while, is now back. So if you go on the site, you can gain points and get free stuff. We even have an app that you can sign in and access those resources via Android or Apple devices. And we'll talk about some more of these other things on the Friday call, but things like public display mode, host diagnostics, how to access them, utilize them, IP control setups. It's all there. Great resource. Don't forget reachlg.com. And if you do custom installation, be sure, as we say here at the bottom of the screen, to sign up as a CI dealer, because there's a lot more resources and information for you if you set up as a CI dealer. If you sign up as a regular dealer, a lot of the really pertinent information, we don't make that available to everybody. So please be aware. So why LG? Well, number one, everybody likes to make money, right? And LG's got some really good spiffs, and those spiffs are available to dealers and their salespeople. In fact, LG is paying dealer reps spiffs, so definitely take advantage of it. We'll talk about where to do that if you haven't already. LG, from a dealer standpoint, has an easy return policy on our initial defects. Our whole key thing here is we want to make it easy for you. In fact, at shows and events and in conversations, we're hearing that LG is the best in the industry at really simplifying this process. So we're trying to make it easy on the distributors, make it easy on you as dealers, that you get a product to a job site, you pull it out of the box, you plug it in, something's wrong, shortly thereafter, you turn it on for 3 or 4 days and then it's not working, something that's, more or less out of the box. Well, now you've tried to sell your company, say you're going to take care of the customer. And I'm sure everybody's experienced a defective TV that has taken weeks, months, maybe even longer to get credit for from the vendor. So back during the pandemic, we created a new process that you initialize the return with 21st Century, and they'll file it with us. Essentially, once we know that, yeah, there is something wrong, it's initial defect, can't be fixed, all you have to do is pull the label off the TV. You're going to field scrap it, send the label in, and you're getting credit. And the turnaround time on that is typically days, not even a week usually, unless it falls over a holiday. But usually, from what I understand, around 72 hours, about 3 days or so. So yes, you get credit, get another TV, do whatever you need to do, take care of the customer. Dealers who have had to do this, which is pretty rare, which is nice, have really liked this program. Really is set up to support you, support your customers, and make it easy in the long run. So don't forget about LG Easy Returns. We have things like our 5-year warranty on our G4 OLED, which we'll talk a little bit about in a bit. And we don't use One Connect boxes unless the TV's wireless. More to come. And don't forget LG's Pinnacle program. If you're doing a lot of business with LG, we do have a program for higher volume dealers. Talk to your sales rep to get more info. And those spiffs, to be able to access them, as you can see over here on the top right, the us.lgsalesportal.com is where you go to sign up. You haven't done so already. Don't use the program for about 90 days. They'll lock your account. You just need to do a spiff claim inquiry at spiff.claim.lge.com. They'll reopen the account. It's a security function on it. Or better yet, submit them at least every month. I always recommend taking 1 day out of the month and just doing all of your spiffs. You could even afford to pay a kid, a helper, somebody to just take care of it, because it would probably pay for it. And we know that if you look at the bottom of the screen here, 80% of eligible spiffs don't get claimed. So, hey, we show you the money. You've got to take advantage of it. Don't forget to take advantage of your spiffs. All right. So things you may not know about LG home entertainment products. The idea here is that these are things that are sort of relative to customers or you and help to provide solutions that you might not have thought of previously. Now, quick question, WebOS by LG. How long have we been utilizing this smart TV platform? How many years? Who can guess in the Q&A? What do we see, Mark?
Let's see. Oh, you're asking me? I don't know, 5 years?
Higher than 5 years.
Oh, someone just said 5. Somebody else said 5. 10.
That would be correct. LG's WebOS platform has 10 years of innovation as a platform leader. So yes, we've been doing WebOS, but one of the issues with smart platforms that you buy on a TV is what happens next year when we come up with a cool new feature that everybody goes, oh, I'd love to have that in my last year TV. Am I going to get it? Usually not, until now. So LG's WebOS has a what we call Renew program that we launched this year. And it gives the customer 4 extra updates over up to 5 years on their WebOS platform. So if you buy a TV in 2024, 25, 26, 27, 8, we'll be releasing updates, giving them the new UI, security, all the things that go along with it. In fact, we went retro, and on our 2023 TV lineup, they're getting WebOS 24 updates already. And even our OLEDs and 8K products from 2022 are receiving them as well. But one of the ones that just came up was on the OLEDs when they did the updates, the C3 and G3 OLEDs got Dolby Vision filmmaker mode for the first time, which we introduced this year, but now it's available on TVs that are older. So the beauty is that a customer gets a TV that feels newer and fresher for a longer period of time. And hopefully after that 5 years, it's a good time for them to start considering upgrades. So again, we do the user interface, we upgrade security, and we make sure that it's optimized to work properly on whatever TV that we're rolling it back to. So you won't see a loss of quality or interaction or responsiveness along the way. Now, I'm sure everybody here is familiar that LG has appliances. And if a customer has appliances and you're doing something residential, let them know that your LG TV that you purchase can see and control aspects of your appliances. So you'll know when the timer has gone off on the oven, when the the wash cycle or the dry cycle is done on the washer or dryer, it'll populate. Even if the kids leave the refrigerator door wide open, you'll get notification on the screen that, hey, refrigerator door is open. So this is kind of cool and be able to go in and adjust those features. And all LG home entertainment and appliance products are accessible and controllable with LG's ThinQ app. You don't always have to have a remote. Dog eats the remote. You know, you've got 2 people in the household and 1 remote, maybe 4 people in the household. Everybody gets a remote with LG ThinQ. And I can control all the major functions, the features. I have the cursor pad over here, so I can get the magic remote. I have, standard controls, but it's all wrapped here into one nice, neat little package. So if the customer likes control, we have that. And speaking of control, a lot of people don't realize that our televisions are compatible with Matter compatible, smart devices. Now, Matter is work to kind of aggregate and bring all the different standards. So all the products that are out there that are IP addressable can be easily controlled using a Matter hub, to control those devices, which our TV will work as one of those. Here you can see the list on the left. I'm not going to go through all of these, but if you're looking for a way to boost your sales by having light switches, light bulbs, plugs, outlets, and more, well, just what we have on screen here in bulbs, plugs, sockets, cameras, that kind of stuff, there's over $800 of add-on sales on the screen right here. And it's a simple, easy platform to work with. And then that's not even the labor that you can charge to install these devices. So you can use your TV as a catalyst to add smart devices on a network, charge the labor to put it in, and hopefully be more profitable. I think most dealers like that. Don't they, Mark?
Oh, yeah.
And Here you can see LG's Home Hub, and you can see how all these lights that I have at the house populate. But let's say I want to go in on Rec Room light number 2 and make adjustments, not just on and off, but I open it up right here on the LG TV screen. I can change brightness, color, hue, saturation, all the above. It's simple, it's easy, and people would much rather control things on graphical devices than anything. And we definitely provide that right here. LG on our quick tabs has some options for supporting those people who have, difficulties with their vision. We can do black and white, we can do invert colors and whatnot. But the one that we get a lot of questions about is hearing aids. Yes, LG's TV lineup, everything that's Bluetooth capable or has Magic Remote ready or Magic Remote has Bluetooth. And if you have a customer who has Bluetooth compatible hearing aids, more than likely you can pair up with not just one hearing aid, but 2 hearing aids to start with. Each of the 2 hearing aids has independent volume for each hearing aid, and you still can run audio through the TV speakers. So if you've got an older couple who one has to really crank the sound up, one needs it a little bit, but then they're watching TV at home and you're trying to keep the volume down for everybody else, you could actually accomplish that with our Bluetooth hearing aid compatibility with independent volume for each hearing aid. I know a lot of our older customers are looking for these type of features. And one other thing that I think most people would be surprised to know, cloud computing. Yes, LG's had a web browser. In fact, it's an HTML5 full spec browser, so you can run it it runs pretty much like you would see on your computer or smartphone in its support, which is cool because you can get the Roku channel, which we don't have an app for, right through the app or the browser. But notice we have this home office tab here. When you activate that, you'll get into our home office tab. And look at all the apps you can literally run on your LG TV. We've got Google Calendar, Mail, Drive, Keep, Docs, Microsoft 365. We've got a couple of web meetings that you could do. There's Windows 365, Chrome Remote as your virtual and remote PC where you can sign in and control another PC that's somewhere else. But that would be still a little bit clunky with the Magic Remote, but we already have a cursor, just like a mouse. Check this out. With Bluetooth, you can add a Bluetooth mouse and keyboard or USB, and boom, your LG TV from baseline to our top OLED becomes a cloud computing device with all the above. And there is even an LG accessory webcam for using the different meeting apps that are there. All right, so let's double check. Everybody paying attention. How long has LG been using WebOS? How long was that?
I know.
Hit the Q&A.
Yeah, hit the Q&A. I have a couple questions too after we go through this.
Okay, so 10 years.
Yep.
How is LG's WebOS Renew program beneficial to customers? What can we say about that? Has anybody answered?
No, I'm waiting.
I got to be faster with this.
Updates?
Yeah, exactly. So it stays updated and fresh for up to 5 years, giving them the latest features.
Madison is very good.
What compatible devices can we interface with and control? Does it matter?
I'll give you that shit. LG appliances,
Matter devices, and Alexa devices. We have Alexa built into the sets as well. And to keep things moving. Whoops. Last but not least.
Before you go on, there's a couple of questions I want to have asked from some of our attendees here. Give me a second.
Okay.
Can I have a security camera pop up on the TV when triggered by motion through WebOS?
You can actually pop a Ring camera up through Alexa.
Right, it'd be done through Alexa. Okay.
But that's the only one that I'm aware of currently.
How about old folks' home amenities area would be some sort of hub that lets more than 2 hearing aids connect. And that's not really something that you would produce.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Unfortunately, 2 is the max for us currently.
Max. Does Bluetooth audio feature run simultaneously with TV speakers? I think you answered that,
yes.
right? It does. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I think that's good for now. So everybody better pay attention. There's already been 2 tests, so
yeah. Then they just keep coming. So stay on your toes, folks.
Yeah.
All right. So IP control, we're going to talk about this more in depth on Friday's LG call, but you can see all the partners that we're utilizing, and all the TVs that we're talking about on today's call are, have IP control. And in fact, they have our Alpha 8, which means they have RS-232 if that's important to you as well. So sort of the bait for Friday's call. And if you run into a technical issue, we have the backing of Joe Colombo, who is our technical manager. You have his email address here, joe.colombo@lge.com, and his 833 toll-free number up in New Jersey, 288-8397. If you've worked with Joe before, he's great. He'll get back to you immediately and has a lot of contacts with other companies that we interface with to help to come to solutions if we run into, issues down the road, but typically not too many. All right. So if we look at LG's 4K premium lineup, really where 4K and 120 hertz come together, we're looking at our LG QNED 85 T series, which is the first to incorporate the Alpha 8 brand new processor for 2024, which pulls a lot of the capabilities out of our Alpha 9, which has been our top processor in years past, and integrate it into our midline QNED and OLED products. So let's talk about what are some of the capabilities that we have and reasons why customers should really start looking here instead of lower down the line. Well, number one, with QNED and OLED, you're getting great color. And we've been talking about great color as an industry forever. But the problem is that we need great color to relate to something. And why is enhanced color or great color important? Well, we used to have color tuned to HD TV, but when 4K came out, Hollywood had already been working with a better than HD color system. I think it goes all the way back to 2005, so almost 20 years. And they call it DCI P3. Now, the key thing to know is there's about DCI P3 color is about 27% more rich in terms of the color, the saturation, it can go further out. And it's been used by Hollywood for 4K and HDR. You'll find it was developed for digital movie theaters, and it's transferring and being utilized in streaming on all the major platforms and disc still. You remember those? So you're going to get pure, deeper reds, greens, and other colors. But the key thing is your TV has to take advantage. It's got to be tuned to it. And if we look at these two images, and this is sort of simulated, but we get decent color on the left side, which is representative of the old HD color standard, and then DCI P3 on the right. Key thing is if you want your color to more closely match the colors available in 4K and HDR sources, which there are plenty of them out there nowadays, you need a TV with at least in our lineup QNED color, which will give you 90 to 95% of the full color fidelity of those sources. So you watch 4K, you definitely want QNED for that better matching color. The Alpha 8 is a 4K 120 hertz processor, and it pulls down AI upscaling, super upscaling, AI noise reduction, AI sharpening, and even AI color up conversion. We can convert HD color to that DCI P3 more rich cinematic color for a much better presentation. So one of the demos that we do a lot when we have a crowd is we'll take two TVs, put them side by side, and be playing the same content and ask which TV looks better to your eye. At the end of the day, they'll typically pick our G series OLED, but what we're not telling them is that G4 OLED is running a 720p version of the content running next to it on a lower TV at 4K native. It's so good, they don't even know that is doing up conversion instead of dealing with it native. So processing is excellent starting at Alpha 8 and working through the line. And although all of our products have our game dashboard that show you all the specs of what's going on with your gaming, and the game optimizer where you can quickly set game, picture, and sound settings quickly while you're gaming and then get back in so you're not going through deep menus, this is where we start providing advanced gaming features like AMD FreeSync. This makes sure that as the console or gaming PC goes up and down in speed, the TV stays synced to that, what they call it adaptive sync. So you'll need this for your Xbox Series S or X and your gaming PCs with AMD video cards. And we also have the standard HDMI VRR, so you can get that quality of performance from your PS5 as well. Now, all of LG's TVs, when you're showing them HDR, usually the signal is much brighter than what the TV can display. So dynamic tone mapping makes sure that the bright highlights are brought down to where you can see all the detail and highlights aren't blown out. That even comes on our entry-level processor, but there's sort of a caveat. If you bring brightness down to compensate for the TV, dark areas actually can be too dark. So starting with our Alpha 8 processor, our better quality, we have Dynamic Tone Mapping Pro. So bright and dark HDR scenes will have more visual pop. So it brings down the highlights, but then brings up the shadow detail to where it should be, thus making that image look great. If you've ever been watching HDR streaming and notice, wow, why does HDR look so dark? That's because of tone mapping. If you want it to look bright and dynamic, you don't want Dynamic Tone Mapping Pro starting on our Alpha 8 products. And ask yourself this: what percentage of customers that you deal with, if they had to go in and set the picture manually, could actually set it exactly the way they wanted or even liked with all the available controls that are in the TV? And we're actually going to talk about those controls on Friday. But for those who just want the picture to look good to their eyes, LG has our personal picture wizard, which is available starting on our 4K 120 hertz QNEDs. And essentially, we start the process, and it's going to show the customer 6 pages of images. And all the customer has to do is choose 1 or 2 images that look visually appealing to them from that list. Then we'll have them go through 5 more pages, choosing 1 or 2 per page that are visually appealing to them. And when it's all said and done, the artificial intelligence will create a picture mode that is one case out of 83 million plus options tuned to the choices that they made visually. So we can take something that might look drab and boring and give it significantly more pop. What's cool about this is that when we've put the remote in the hands of customers, consumers, and industry professionals, once they get done with the process, they go, yeah, that actually looks good. I'd watch that. And that basically solves the question of, well, how do I get the TV to look good for the customer? Personal Picture Wizard in LG's premium television lineup. And last but not least, we know that customers love an art TV. And what I mean by an art TV is a TV that will show something other than movies, TV shows, gaming, but when they're not watching TV, something that will enhance their environment. Well, in previous years, we had our Always Ready or art galleries on our OLED TVs, but it's been moved down. So everything with 4K 120 hertz, Alpha 8 processor or higher has our Always Ready function. And that allows us to show art collections, which they can download for free, video art they can download for free, play music, if I don't step on my tongue, have a info display with clock and other stuff, or you can display your own personal photos and art, either from transferred from the ThinQ app to the TV, put it on a USB drive, and it'll play it from there, or you can even link it to a Google Photos account. So when it goes to this mode, boom, they get all of this great artwork that is actually their personal photos and whatnot. So everything from our QNED 85T up, that's a 2024 model, will have that. And this is a function that can be launched via IP control this year. So we'll take a look at the launch options there. So you can see you can launch for the art, the clock, the movements, all right here. We'll talk a little bit more about IP control on the Friday call. Keep pushing Friday's call. All right. And then I think the last key thing here is that, picture by picture, picture in picture has gone away in a lot of cases, but we do have the ability to show up to 2 screens side by side, or there is a PIP window option as well with models with the Alpha 8 or higher processor. So if you're trying to watch 2 games, you got a couple of Roku's, Fire Sticks, Apple TVs, want to plug them in and run them side by side because the games you want to look at, boom, you could pull it off with this. And there are other options. You can show certain apps and other inputs and whatnot here. So again, QNED 85T Plus. Key thing to note here, all of these sets in the QNED 85 line are 1.2 inches or thinner. So they're very, very thin profile. We do have essentially flush mounts where you can get them as close to the wall as the wall will allow. And if somebody wants to put one of these on a tabletop or a TV stand, the 65, 75, and 86 have the option of moving the legs from the outside of the TV towards the middle to where the leg footprint is just under 21 inches wide. So you can get a much bigger screen safely on a smaller TV stand. So we get the better processor. We want Alpha 8 in customers' homes or higher, 120 hertz refresh rate, game enhancement features like AMD FreeSync. We have our game optimizer, and starting at this point and through the rest of the line, all of these sets have 4, not 2, but 4 48 gigabit per second HDMI 2.1 top spec HDMI ports. So all the ports handle any signal. And last but not least, that AI picture wizard, and don't forget, always ready for artwork. If you want something bigger, and that definitely seems to be a trend, our QNED 89T takes all the amazement of the 85 series and bumps it up with LED full array backlight. So LEDs spread all the way across the back of this super large 98 panel. And we have LG's precision dimming, which means we can control those light elements individually and in smaller zones. So I can have a really bright moon on the screen, and then space around it can be much darker because we're able to turn off or turn down the lights in the dark areas, turn up the LEDs in the bright areas for better image punch. And it is LG's largest TV at 98 inches. What's exciting about this is that I saw this at CEDIA and a couple other places. I was really wowed by how good this thing looked for the size it was and the price point that it was at. And Brian Meath from Brian's Tech Therapy did a review on this, and he said it was the biggest surprise, a monster surprise in 2024, mainly because its image quality was so good and it wasn't anything that was being overhyped by anybody. So if you're looking for a super large solution, reasonably priced, performs really well with all these cool features we've talked about so far, that would be our QNED 89T at 98 inches. And what is that optimum viewing distance of the 98-inch QNED 89T? Join us for Friday's call to learn more details on emphasizing the TV.
Hey, is that 98-inch? Is that brighter than the OLED?
It's probably going to be similar in brightness to our OLEDs.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of LEDs on the back of it.
Right.
And then talking about bright QNEDs, our 90T series basically goes not LED, but mini LED. So lots and lots and lots and lots of much smaller elements being controlled in a lot finer zones. So I can get, better brightness control and better darkness control throughout the entire screen. And we've even upgraded the backlight control system that it's an analog and digital system combined. We can get shadow detail up to 13 times darker on this set. So looking more like an OLED in the dark areas. OLED still has the advantage, but really start to separate the blacks and the peak highlights here. And it is the first TV in our lineup that natively supports Dolby Vision and also has Dolby Atmos playback directly in it. Now, where I really see an advantage of this set is the 90T at $1899 versus the C4. You're saving about $300. If you're trying to save a little bit of money, but really the 86-inch version of the QNED 890T right now retailing around $2,300. It's $1,100 less expensive than our 83 C4 OLED. So if the customer wants larger, willing to give up a little bit of black level performance, but brightness, contrast are very similar between those two models, it's a way to get more. Maybe they're trying to put this like in a kid's room, not a kid's room, but like a rec room, a play room, a separate room for the kids and stuff. They'd like to go OLED, but like to save $1,100 if they can. Highly recommend the QNED 90 being that set. So in LG's lineup of QNEDs, the 80T, it's there. It's a 60 hertz, but it's missing all those features we talked about at 4K at 120 hertz, like the always ready, the artwork, the picture wizard, the advanced gaming features. So definitely the 85T, the 89T, and the 90 are definitely the way to go. I always like to work my way from the top down, but certainly great. And what is that processor for our new QNED 120 sets? Brand new processor. What do we call that? Let's see if they got that. Is it Q&A? I can't see the questions. You blocked me.
I'll ask them.
Sean answered one of them. What precautions should I take to avoid burnout in
Yep,
OLED?
I see it now. A8. Yeah, exactly. Brand new processor, steals a lot from our Alpha 9 and really boost our mid-level product to our AI super upscaling best. Which QNED is the one with mini LED and Dolby Vision? Let's see if we can hit that. There we go. Michelle got it.
I was going to ask you, you know what? Finish this and I'll ask you the question. Go ahead. You're on mute, Greg. Greg, you're on mute.
I don't know why I muted. That was weird. So yeah, I got 98 and then our QNED, which is the lowest to offer the art and personal photos, playback when you're not watching TV, and those other. I learned. I hit the tabs or I hit the space bar when I was on the wrong screen. That's why. Matt, that will mute. So the QNED 85. So anything 4K 120. We have this documentation on reachlg.com. It shows you what all the differences are as you step up the line and what changed from last year. So definitely get to reachlg.com to get that. And what questions do you have before we jump on OLED?
No, actually, I think Sean answered it, and then something about burn-in on OLEDs, but
yeah, Greg, can you expand on? He was asking how to mitigate any burn-in issues. I said, you have pixel refresh, you have the rolling frame art mode, screensaver. I personally have an OLED I've had since 2020. It's my main TV. No burn-in, and it's on pretty much all day.
Yeah, it's I'll refer you to ratings.com, rtings.com. They've been doing a 100 TV extended range test. And what's the worst thing you could put on a emissive display? Yeah, they're using CNN. So they've got the Chiron, they've got the logo, it's all there all the time. And that's all they're doing. They're running them hard. But they're running them, I think, 6 hours, and they shut them off for a period of time, then they turn them back on for 6 hours. So they give them a rest time, but they're trying to accelerate the usage of it. And after they got to a year's worth of usage or simulated where they're running them, multiple times, 6 hours, a clip, pretty much around the clock, when they got to what simulated a year, they found out that of all the OLEDs that they were testing, including OLEDs back to like our 2020, like, or even 2019, I think they had like a C9 in there. None of the LG OLEDs exhibited any kind of discernible image retention or burn-in. Yet almost every LED in the test was already starting to have visual issues to the screen. But LG has worked really hard because out of the gate, we've been doing this, remember, 10 plus 1, 11 years. And we had to figure out how to deal with image retention and burn-in very early on because our competitors were using that as the main reason not to get us. So we had to kind of prove our capabilities. By the time I got here in 2016, 2017, I want to say they pretty well had it nailed down. Anything since like 2019, essentially, as soon as you turn the TV off, it does a compensation cycle looking at what was lit up the longest, the most, and it actually can compensate for output before you turn the TV back on again. Now, there are other things going on in the background. If you ever pause an image, it'll go to a screensaver, or some apps don't go to the screensaver, but you'll notice the set just gets progressively dimmer and darker until you come back and hit play, and then it goes. But if you let it sit too long, it will shut itself off. It has logo luminance adjustment that you can select, but it also recognizes logos and static areas in the screen. And after a period of time, we'll leave the rest of the screen alone, but we'll take and dim those. You won't even notice it until you change channel and come back and you notice they're brighter to start again. So it does a lot of really smart things in the background. But to Sean's point, if you're using an LG OLED, unless you're trying to use it for digital signage, and you're running it 24/7 as digital signage with the same stuff, you really shouldn't have anything to worry about, especially if you watch a variety of content. If you're watching movies, doing games, letterbox, 4x3, as long as it's mixed up, it's going to be fine. Sean and I have talked about this before. I've got a 2021 C1 OLED that it's a 65, and all I use it for is gaming, and 95% of the time it's Halo Infinite. In fact, my Halo guy's around here somewhere, Sean. But I test it every so often, and after playing it for 3-4 years, nothing but gaming, and I moved from one Xbox to another, I'm not seeing any kind of indication of burn-in or image retention on that set. So unless a customer is just watching a news channel, CNN, MSNBC, Fox, whatever, 24/7, they're mixing up content, I'm not going to worry about it. It's gotten to that point that with LG OLEDs and LG OLED TVs, not just TVs that have our panels, there are other factors, but we could definitely talk more detail about that on Friday's call. But I have no concerns, and you shouldn't either.
Greg, we got about 8 minutes. Let's get through the OLEDs.
All right, so plenty of.
Ooh. You're mute again. Space bar.
Have to space bar on the proper screen. I'm going to go cowboy here. No more space bar. So C4 and G4 are OLED Evo. Now, we also have a B series, which is not Evo, and we'll talk about why you want a C4. Number one, it has the Alpha 9. The Alpha 9 was a processor developed in tandem with LG OLED panels to be able to extract the best performance out of them. So you want an Alpha 9 processor minimum in your LG OLED, and that starts with C4. One of the reasons you want it is better at driving the OLED, and we can get its screen up to 20% brighter than our B4 OLED and peak brightness in line with our QNED 90. So yeah, it's got mini LED comparable brightness in the peak highlights. So stars will look more shimmery and bright with the blackest space. Faster speed for gaming PCs up to 144 hertz, and it has the NVIDIA G-Sync compatibility. So if you're using the most popular video card series out there from NVIDIA for computer gaming, we are verified by NVIDIA, given their blessing that it will work. So if you're wanting the best Our B4 with that special processor, better brightness, better refresh rate, and has the unique ability to send video from it, maybe in your living room, got an 83C4, maybe I've got a QNED 80 or an 85 in a bedroom or another room, and I was finishing a movie that I was running off of my Xbox, but instead of trying to fire it up on the other set, I can just send the video to the other room. Or my son actually has it where you can send video as he's video gaming, because the controller still reaches it, from the C4 to his bedroom TV, which then receives the signal and he can finish the game. So now the screen will turn dark on the C4 once it starts transmitting because of digital rights management. But if you need to get video from one room to another, that works out great. So keep things under wraps. Which OLEDs are Evo, C4 and G4, not the B4. I've seen them side by side. C4 is where you want to be. B4 is significantly dimmer in comparison. We'll see some pretty good deals on the B4, but for premium customers, C4 and above. We know it's well suited with all the features that it has for gaming. It's 20% brighter. Sometimes I think it's even more so than the C4. And we have the widest array of sizes on that series. But last but not least, and certainly most exciting and important to the lineup, LG's G4. This is our top performing OLED. And of top performing OLEDs out there, from, if you look at our competition, they max out at 77-inch screen sizes in both. They're the 95 model series. They don't have an 83. Well, we do. And we have a 97. So if you're trying to go OLED large or super large, we have it. One of the major benefits of this is micro lens array. As you can see, we literally put lenses on top of the screen to extract more light, provide wider, in fact, the widest viewing angles, even out of an OLED, and it gives us better brightness with the same amount of power as we used previously. In fact, this thing has, on a 77-inch G4, 5,117 of these micro lenses per pixel. Yeah, I said not screen, but per pixel. There's over 42.4 billion micro lenses to make that happen. That's why the G4 is so unique in the industry. And the other thing is we have a brightness booster algorithm, which allows this set to get significantly brighter than the B4 and the C4. In fact, its peak brightness is up to 150% brighter. This thing is insane. It's like a mini LED with perfect black, as we like to say. So this is all being driven by the micro lens array and our Alpha 9 processor. Yes, you will need OLED tanning lotion this year. Just kidding. It has AI director processing, which helps to bring out color richness, even beyond the capabilities of the C4. And not just 2 screens, but we can show up to 4 screens in multi-view. If you want to know what all those combinations are, we'll talk about them on Friday. And last but not least, well, 2 things. The C4 and the G4 have different screen coatings. C's pretty good, but the G4 uses our super anti-reflective. Notice in this really bright room with windows how much more suppressed reflections are. And there's another benefit. By keeping the screen glossy, it does show about less than 1% of the reflected light in the screen. But when light hits the screen, unlike the solution by one of our competitors, it doesn't raise black level, thus killing contrast in bright rooms. So we can retain, in fact, ratings when they actually scored them, basically scored our anti-reflective system the best of all the premium OLEDs out there. We continue with LG's one-wall design. With the 77 and larger screen sizes, we provide the wall mounts in the box. 55 and 65 this year, they've gone to a tabletop. So you'll need to buy the wall mount the wall mounts separately. But fun fact, 55 through 83-inch, the wall mount is the same for all of those sets. So it's one SKU. 21st should have them if you need them for the 55 and the 65. But that one wall design literally allows us to get it as flat to the wall as the wall will allow. So if the customer wants that nice, tight, clean aesthetic, we have it. Secondly, it's got the always ready function for art and such. And there is now a trim frame available for it. And the company just ran out of my brain. Catch me on Friday. I'll have to look it up because I don't have time to go at it here. Last but not least, 5-year panel warranty. If anything happens with the panel, first 5 years, we'll replace the panel. Year 1, we'll even pay for the labor. But yeah, to be able to replace the panel, you're basically going back to a new set. The customer just has to pay the labor years 2 through 5. Nobody else that I'm aware of is offering a panel warranty this long. And I don't think we get many people that actually have to use it. So again, just building confidence in our lineup. So our top product, the one we most recommend that you present to customers first because of everything that we've essentially talked about, from color to brightness to contrast to design to functionality, G4. Unique, the only Alpha 11 processor TV that we have in our lineup. The one wall design looks great. It's got an aesthetic that even interior designers can agree with. It is our brightest and most intense OLED ever. And we've got that 5-year panel warranty. To see it, it's just phenomenal. And if we look at, again, our lineup, B4, C4, G4, C4 and G4 are where you want to be. In fact, Caleb Dennison basically said in his review of the C4, he says, I just wish everybody could have this TV, referring to the C4. He goes, it's one of those that just is going to make everyone happy. That is LG. That is our OLEDs. They perform beautifully. They've sort of been the benchmark. They were the first sets of OLED out there, and they continue to be, the ones that offer the most value and, performance for your purchasing dollar. We have our category information guides on reachlg.com, so I'm not going to review that here. You can download those and review them with your customers. And just the high points here, we've got a brighter 4-way multi-view, micro lens array, Alpha 11, one-wall design with a longer warranty, 5 years, up to 150% peak brighter than our B4, and reduces reflections over 99%. So it's good for rooms with lots of lights, lots of windows. C4 holds up really well this year. I've got it in a room that has lots of bay windows and sliding glass doors. I actually don't even use the full peak brightness on it. I usually set it on low, and it's still more than bright enough. So if the customers are scaling large, we have everything from 75 QNED and 77 OLED, all the way up to 97 and 98 inches. Plenty of options, plenty of price points. We can, cover just about everything. And ultimately, if we think, why LG, in our product lineup, if we're looking premium, 5 years of updates, Bluetooth compatibility with hearing aids, widest range of OLED sizes and screens, the only ultra premium 83-inch and 97, 5-year warranty, no external boxes unless it's a wireless OLED, and we actually have wireless OLEDs, our M series. You get thin wall mount options that are available for our QNED and our OLEDs. All of our 4K series incorporate IP control, our public display mode. What are those? See us on Friday. We have our art and photo functions on the 4K 120s, as well as all the ports being 4K 120. Personal Picture Wizard, Matter and Alexa compatible, so you can sell whole house control. We have ThinQ control on the app. We have SPIS, Easy Returns, our Pinnacle program, and lots of resources at reachlg.com. Your CI sales specialist, if you need to get a hold of them, I have their emails here. Again, Joe Colombo's contact information, email and phone number here. And I will just remind you, Reach LG, a great resource for all of that. So in summary, LG Premium QNEDs with Alpha 8 offers significant benefits for your customers to appreciate. Our QNED color provides more vivid, accurate colors that match with the 4K content available from Hollywood through Netflix, Disc, and other streaming platforms. Our C4 OLED is tuned for great HDR performance, it's amazing, and great gaming. And our G4 realizes better color, higher brightness, better contrast, and its one-wall design is a perfect match for, I would say, the most premium customers out there. And we're going to keep those TVs up to date for the next, several years with those WebOS updates. Don't forget, our latest LG roadmaps are out, and holiday pricing has been released. So check with your 21st Century
We'll have those
salespeople.
updated, and we'll have those updated on our site. And Levi, tune in on Friday, because he's talking about us teasing Friday a bunch. So Friday is going to be more on the integration. We're going to take more of a deep dive into the OLEDs, into the panels, and also some audio products. So make sure you check us out on Friday, Friday's training in the afternoon. Thank you so much, Greg. Really appreciate that. We got to run to our next one. Everybody make sure you go back to the VCC and click attend for our Power Shades training. So thanks so much, Greg.